This is numbers 1 through 4 on the Geometry Unit Study Guide. Number 1 through 4, it says, using the rule provided, describe the transformation or sequence of transformations that have occurred. Just remember that if there's a sequence of transformations, often there is more than one type of answer that can happen. Let's look at number 1. On number 1, we can see that the x and the y are actually out of order. They've flipped. So one thing that we see happens is that x and y went and turned into y comma x. Another thing that we see is there's a +2 here, which we know is going to be a translation of some type. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at the possible ways we can do this. The first possible way is that we can do a reflection over the line y equals x. That's what's going to result in this right here. Then after that, what we can do is, now that we've got this here, if we put a +2 right here, it's in the second position, it can actually go up 2 units. The second option would be to start with the x comma y and talk about the fact that x + 2 comma y could have occurred. If we did that, this is technically going to go right 2 units. And then after that, we can flip this entire phrase. The x + 2 can go over here, right there, and the y can come to the front right there. And so then we're going to reflect over y equals x. Both of those will get us the sequence that we need, the double prime, the 2 transformations for number 1. On number 2, I see I have a single prime, which means that this can be done in exactly 1 transformation. So when we look, we see that x and y have now flipped and gone opposite in value. That is a reflection over the line y equals -x when we flip and negate. Number 3, you see the double prime, so we know that there's 2 transformations that have occurred. So one of the options that we can look at is that the x and y can become -x comma y. And then you got to remember, y-axis, y stays the same, which means the x goes opposite. So the first thing we could say is this reflects over the y-axis. Then look, we're doing 3 times this value to get from here to here, 3 times that value. When you're only multiplying one of the numbers, it's going to be a stretch. In this case, this is going to be a vertical stretch of 3. The second option that we could do is technically we can take x comma y and we can go ahead and do a vertical stretch of y. So let's do a vertical stretch of just y. So vertical stretch by 3, and then after that, then we can actually go ahead and reflect over the y-axis, because this y would stay the same, this x would go opposite in value. So this one, we can go in either order, so reflection over the y-axis. So it's the same 2 transformations, order doesn't really matter. Number 4. On number 4, we see we have 1 prime, and so this has to be done in 1 transformation. We see that the x and y switch places and one of them went opposite. That's one of our rotations. Now we just have to figure out which one it is. When you do, let's start with 90 degrees, you're going to find the opposite of y and you're going to switch them, which is exactly what happened here. This is a rotation of 90 degrees counterclockwise.